You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 340, How to Create Problem Solvers in Your Business. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today, we're going to dive into the challenge of being the only problem solver in your business. Can you relate? We're doing this so that you can step down from that demanding role and create a team full of competent and capable problem solvers. Before we dive in today, I want to invite you to take my next level business owner quiz. In just 3 minutes, you can take the quiz and find out what's most holding you back from taking your business to the next level. And once you've discovered what's most holding you back, I will give you a curated playlist of the podcast with specific episodes that address those challenges. What could be more productive than getting a playlist that aligns with the challenges that you should be focusing on in your business in your inbox today? Head on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz. I would ask that you do that right now by hitting pause so long as you are not driving and you're safe. Hit pause and head on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz. And now, let's get to the straight talk. As business owners, we don't just want and need people on our team who will do exactly what they are told. Am I right? Let me say this again. We don't just want and need people on our team who will do exactly what they're told. What I think we really need support in is in conserving our mental load. Or another way of saying it is our mental bandwidth. That is because it is far more exhausting to be the only person in the business who solves problems, oversees challenges, and puts out fires. Telling people what to do and how to think can only get you and your business so far. Think of a typical day or week in your business. How many quote-unquote problems are dropped at your feet for you to figure out? My guess is way too many. And if that is true, then not only are your valuable resources of time and energy being taken away, but you're also being robbed of your ability to focus and do deep work. The work that will move the needle forward towards your big goals. The work we like to call your high-value activities, which is, for you, your most productive work. We have talked a lot about time management, planning our days, boundaries, and constantly choosing to be productive on this podcast. We have shared many effective strategies for improving upon all of those areas in the name of goal achievement, success, and reducing stress. But if you are the only problem solver in your business, then those otherwise effective strategies are sabotaged because you won't be able to consistently execute them. It's not sustainable to be the only problem solver in your business, and it would put you on the fast track to mental burnout. I want to explain that further. Think back to a typical day or week, and you have executed and planned for some of the strategies that I have shared with you on this podcast. Why were those strategies not executed? I'm sure they weren't executed for various reasons, But I think that a large part of why you're not able to consistently execute on those strategies in your business is because you're being pulled from problem to problem, challenge to challenge, fire to fire. And if that is the case, we have episodes about putting out fires and getting to the root cause of them. But another way to approach this is to not be the only person that can solve problems in your business. That is not the only thing that your day is consumed with, so that you have the space, the time, the energy, and the mental bandwidth to look into the future and strategize for the future of the business. I want to dive into why you are the only problem solver in your business. Number one, you believe you are the only person who should solve problems. I want you to think about that for a moment. I'm challenging your beliefs. I want you to ask yourself, do you truly believe that you are the only person who should be solving the problems in the business? Number two, you believe you are the only person who can solve the problems. Do you hear yourself saying things like, it's got to be me. I'm the only one that knows. It's got to be my way. It's got to be solved my way. Number three, you can jump in and become the hero in situations instead of focusing on your high value activities. The hero syndrome, we just had an episode about that. We'll link out to it in the outro and show notes. But a lot of people have this like addiction, this feedback loop of feeling great when they can jump in and be the hero and solve the day or solve the challenge. Is that you? Number four, you are not creating a culture that empowers your team to solve problems. We're going to dive into each of those. If one of those resonates with you, several or all four, we're diving into each of those more deeply so that you can unravel those beliefs, that you can challenge those beliefs, that you can change the culture, and you can truly build a team that can support you, not just through delegation, but through carrying the shared weight of the mental bandwidth of solving problems in your business. So, how to create team members who solve problems, overcome challenges, and put out fires in your business? Number one, if you believe you are the only person who should solve problems, as business owners, we know that the buck stops with us. I get it. I believe the same thing as a leader in my business. But it doesn't necessarily have to come straight to us. At the end of the day, it is our responsibility to ensure our clients are well taken care of, our employees are happy, and the bills are paid. However, that does not mean that you are the only person who should solve problems and overcome challenges in the business. If you believe this, then start making different decisions in regards to the people you hire. I want you to hire more capable, more confident people. Also start making different decisions as to the responsibilities you give to these capable, competent people. And then prioritize your time around supporting these capable, competent people on your team, as well as investing in activities and projects that move the business forward, that take it to the next level. And you can do that because you've gotten that reclaimed mental bandwidth back. You have stabilized your schedule because there's somebody that can handle these challenges between you and the challenge. And so the interruptions, the distractions, the uncertainty have been minimized because you're shifting from firefighting to investing in those in your team so that they can help carry the load. Number two, if you believe you're the only person who can solve problems, the first question to ask yourself is this true? I really want you to sit with that for a moment. If your belief is that you are the only person who can solve the problems, I love to challenge my own beliefs and challenge the beliefs of my clients by asking this simple but powerful question. Is this true? Are you really the only person who can solve problems? The truth is, you'll never know until you try, until you test it out. Start encouraging your team members to figure out answers on their own. They might not have the same degree of experience or even see the situations exactly as you would, but they do have access to resources. They have access to Google and YouTube and SOPs just like you do. And how do you expect them to get the experience if you don't give them the opportunity? What is the result? If they can't find the right answer to perfectly solve problems, once again, maybe you need to take a look at your hiring. You might determine you need to set the bar higher, or you might just discover extra training is needed. I want to share just a little bit more about this. This example that I am referring to is that when an employee or team member comes up upon a challenge and they're quick to text you, email you, call you, be standing at your desk, holler across the office, for you to give them that answer, they become dependent on you and you're enabling them to not be self-sufficient and have that figure out attitude that I can figure it out, I can learn it. Because of course it's going to be easier for you to give them the answer because you're the most experienced in the business. But like I previously said, how do they get that experience if you're still just spoon feeding them the answers? I think of this when I think about raising my son. When he was a baby, a toddler, a little kid, of course I helped him. Of course mom had the answers. But now I'm raising a 14-year-old son, and I find myself often saying things like, how do you think you should handle that situation? How do you think you can fix that? What are your thoughts? Pushing it back to him, because what I don't need is my son in high school still dependent on mom and dad fixing every challenge, being the quick resource, and most importantly, robbing him of the opportunity to think and problem solve for himself, because I want my son to problem solve in the world. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't now, but I do see this different change just in my own parenting and our dynamics of how frequently I'm aware that, yes, I can fix this situation. Yes, I have words of wisdom. But will that actually give him the confidence that he needs about going through challenges, handling problems, being resourceful? Being resourceful in just little day-to-day life things and in bigger things. And you're dealing with your employees, and I often don't think it's much different. They're looking at you as the person that can make it easier for them, that can solve or answer their questions. But what I think you really want as a business owner are employees that are self-sufficient, that are resourceful, that have that attitude of, I don't know if I'll get it right, but I'm willing to figure it out. And that can't happen if you are always there as their crutch. Number 3, if you jump in and become the hero in a situation instead of focusing on your high-value activities. All right, so this is a little bit different, but also very similar to what I was sharing. Now, this example, right? Like as being the mom of my son, of course I want to jump in and be the hero and make his life easier and give him all this wisdom that I think I have in different situations that a 14-year-old kid doesn't. But that is all about me, right? That's about how I feel when I can solve a problem. And This is a pattern that I see frequently with business owners is that they get addicted to that positive feedback loop of being the hero, being the person that can solve the problems, handle the challenges. You get a little bit of a dopamine hit, you get adrenaline high of like, what's the problem and how can I get it fixed? When your team members look to you to solve problems and make decisions, I want you to ask yourself, what do you do? Is your knee-jerk reaction to solve it? Like, what do you actually say to them when they drop challenges on your doorstep, at your desk, at your feet? Are you just solving the problem yourself because you can, because it's faster, and it gets them out of your way, back to their desk, out of your inbox, move on quickly to the next thing? Or are you answering these questions because you really, truly enjoy that feeling that comes with fixing something that's wrong? And the word productive, right, of like, I feel accomplished, oftentimes can be blurred with these types of activities of I feel accomplished when I'm solving problems. And it's I just want to warn you that that is not the same thing. Now, of course, you as a business owner are going to be challenged to solve big problems, but I'm talking about these everyday things. And when you're putting out everyday fires, it's actually sabotaging your ability to really work on what would be considered high value and most productive. Do you tell yourself you've done well and worked hard when you put out fires, even if you didn't accomplish your own to-dos for the day, your own plan for the day because you were so busy answering questions and putting out fires? Do you kind of use that as a crutch or an excuse why you're not showing up in a particular way in your business? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, you might have a hero complex. If your tendency is to just jump in and save the day, no matter how great the sacrifice. If your tendency is to cast yourself in the role of a hero, then I want you to go back and listen to episode 338. Hey, hero, it doesn't have to be you. It's just like 2 episodes behind this one. It was a really good episode. If you haven't, make sure you listen to that episode after you finish today's episode. Number 4, you are not creating a culture that empowers your team to solve problems. Now, I wanted to pull this one out as culture because I do want to speak to it, but I want you to understand that if you fundamentally do believe that you are the only one that should be solving problems, or that you believe you're the only one that can solve problems, or that you have a bit of a hero complex because you are pulled into that loop of dopamine, adrenaline, the feel good of solving problems, then chances are you are not creating a culture that is empowering your team members to solve problems. So once you've addressed the first 3 and gotten really clear about where you feel is kind of the root cause of why you don't have team members solving challenges in the business, then number 4 is about how do you flip that on its head and create the culture that says it's okay. Creating a culture that empowers your team to solve problems goes back to the proverb attributed to Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. If you just readily give your team members the answers and solutions they seek, they will always come to you for the answers and solutions they need. You're creating a culture in which they will turn to you for everything without a second thought. Instead, teach them to be the fisherman by pushing back and train them to make the decisions. Figure out the answers to their questions and find out solutions to their problems. Doing so, they build those muscles and sharpen their skills. Gain that experience of being the problem solver and figure out on their own the next time such a question or problem arises, you will have created a culture that empowers problem solvers. This goes back to my example earlier with my son, creating a culture of problem solving because I'm pushing back, because I want to teach him to fish and not just give him a fish. And early in his life, of course, I gave him the fish, but it's now time for him to learn to fish. And I think the same thing is true for your team members. I want to speak to just one more thing about this in the culture that I believe comes up frequently, is that are you creating a safe place for people to make mistakes and get it wrong? Many people are asking you and seeking your advice because of the fear of making a mistake. And so part of creating that culture has got to be, I want you to be resourceful. I want you to try things out. I want you to learn. And if you make a mistake, it's okay. I'd rather you make a mistake and learn than be dependent on me to solve all your challenges. And that's a big one. That's going to show up in how you lead, what your communication is, how you handle when people make mistakes on your team, and truly asking yourself, are you okay if team members make mistakes? And I would want to remind you in this case that you have made many mistakes. Those mistakes have not ruined your life. They have not tanked your business. They have yet become milestones on your journey to where you are today. And I don't think that you would be where you're at today without those milestones of making those mistakes. So don't rob your team members of those milestones, that opportunity for growth, that opportunity to build their confidence, that opportunity to learn to fish. So how do you effectively go from being the only problem solver in your business to a business full of problem solvers? Follow these steps every time one of your team members approaches you and asks for an answer or a solution that you think they can figure out on their own. Number 1, don't allow your knee-jerk reaction to kick in and just answer the question or inform them on the solution. This is going to take practice. It's going to be about being present in the moment and seeing and hearing the opportunity to not just quickly respond. Number 2, ask them what they think the answer might be and why. In many cases, you will find that they do know the correct answer and they just wanted your approval for taking action on it. I'm going to break this down into 2 different, like A and B, okay? So if you ask them how they think they can solve the problem, if they do have the answer, acknowledge so that they build their confidence in solving problems. And 2 things come from this. You've gained trust because you can see they had the ability to solve the problem. And 2, by you validating that they had the answer, you're building their confidence. This is a win-win. And over time, they will be able to independently solve problems for you and themselves. And they're going to come to you less and less frequently because they understand and you're encouraging them. You've got it. Absolutely, that's how I would solve it. Absolutely, that's a great way. Yes, that would be a great place to look for that resource. These are all leadership, leading, coaching opportunities. Let's go with response B now. Response B is you have asked them how they think that they could solve the problem or find the resource. And when they respond, they did not give you what you think is the correct answer. I advise that the next thing you do after you say, that's not actually correct, or I don't think that that's the way you could proceed, is ask them where they might be able to find the answer. Okay? So they've given you a response. It wasn't the correct response. Now you're going to ask them another question. That's not correct. However, where do you think you might be able to find that answer? Get them to thinking along the lines of, could they be checking SOPs? I mean, come on, that's what these SOPs are for. Could they Google the answer? Is there an industry resource? Is there another office resource? Is there an email that they should have read or looked at before asking you? I want you to take this as an opportunity to coach them through figuring out where else they might be able to find that answer instead of coming directly to you, because this trains them to problem solve and teaches them that you're not the only resource available to them to get the answers. If the answer is not to be found in a resource, then coach them through how you would solve the problem. This is really important. So it's not that you're just giving them the answer, right? So let's assume there is no resource. You're aware that there's not a resource. So maybe we're leaning more towards experience or their own opinion about how a situation should be handled. If that's the case, you've struck gold. This is a great opportunity to slow it down and coach them by not just giving them the answer, but giving them the why. What were your inputs for recommending that solution? How did you come to that solution yourself? Giving them insight into your own thought process is helping teach them to go connect those same dots and have a similar thought process. This is building that culture. This is coaching them, leading them, building them up to be problem solvers in the future for you. And yes, this takes patience and time, but it is an investment in your team members and your business, because ultimately, you will not be the only problem solver in your business. You will have a competent and capable team full of problem solvers. I have loved having you listen to this episode of the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. And I sure hope today's episode was valuable, insightful, and encouraging you to take action. I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So it's an easy question. Do you want more problem solvers in your business? If that is a yes, then I encourage you to take action. I shared with you 4 reasons why you may not currently have the support you need in this area. If any of those resonated with you or all of them, then I want you to take them step by step and unravel, whether it's unraveling the beliefs or connecting and understanding that you may be behaving in a certain way because of a hero complex. And lastly, do you need to build a culture and lead your team differently so that it encourages them to be a problem solver? These are all very specific actions. You don't need to do them all at once. Take them one at a time. The reward is priceless, honestly, because once you've made this investment of unraveling these beliefs and looking into this behavior and investing in the culture, every hire you have for the years and years and years you have of being a business owner, this one investment will change how your team supports you. So go take action today. We shared a couple episode resources for you, and I just wanted to share those again and let you know that they'll be in the show notes. You can find those episodes over at amberdelagarza.com/340. I shared with you episode 240, Firefighter, whose fires are you putting out in your business? And then we also talked about the hero episode 338. Hey, hero, it doesn't need to be you. Be sure to go listen to those episodes, as I think that they really complement today's conversation. Before we close out, I just want to let you know that if you've been thinking of hiring a business coach and you would like support in leading your team, managing your time, creating efficiency, improving your business systems, then we should talk. I am here to support you through my one-on-one coaching program or my group coaching program, Leverage Lab. To learn more, head on over to amberdelagarza.com. And the first step is to get your questions answered and explore if this is the next right step for you. So go schedule that discovery call over at amberdelagarza.com. And if you are new here, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I sure hope you found today's episode to be valuable and insightful to grow your business. If you're a longtime listener and enjoyed today's episode, don't keep us a secret. Be sure to share this episode with a fellow business owner. So that's my Straight Talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.